I had no idea that this visual approach to prompting an AI or interacting in a kind of AI native way, I had no idea it would work so well with databases.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Scaling Dev Tools. I'm joined today by my friend, Lou Wilson, who is also known as todepond on the internet. Lou is software engineer / wearer of many hats at tldraw. And tldraw is the infinite canvas for the internet, which is a cool way to say that you can make like Figma-y type drawing or really do anything whiteboardy with tldraw. And tldraw has kind of taken over Twitter, so you may well have already seen it. Lou, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Yeah, it's great to be on the podcast.
Lou, so just for the people on YouTube, do you want to quickly do like a demo of like tldraw and stuff, just so people know? And if you're on the podcast, you won't see this, and we'll just go straight to the interview.
Yeah, sure. I'll just share my screen. Here it is. I'll just do the entire screen. Whoa. Okay, right. So if you don't know already, this is tldraw. This is, we have a demo basically up at tldraw.com showing off the tldraw library. And the tldraw library is something you can use to build whiteboard and canvas-like experiences in your own apps. It's built in a slightly unusual way using web technology rather than like a custom renderer like Figma or many of the other options out there. This is all built with like the web. So like if I go to the console and take a look, like these are just divs, right? And SVGs. And the fun thing about this is that you can like put anything on the canvas. So like you can put like links, but like more excitingly, you can put things like, that's a little video there. You can put things like embedded iframes, just anything that you can build with HTML, you can put on the canvas. And this is important. This is important for the demo. So recently, like Jack says, we went a little bit viral with one experiment that we were working on called Make Real. And this was originally something that was prototyped by a lovely guy called Sawyer Hood, who used the tldraw library to make a little experiment like this. So basically what you do is you can draw a website that you want to see. So here I'm just going to write like a simple little thing. Please leave a review. I'll put that there. And I'm going to put like a button at the bottom right. And I'll arrange that around. And what I can do, let's see, hopefully I've left my API key in there, is select this and click Make Real. And that will get sent off to GPT Vision, and will hopefully return a website. So basically what I've done here is just drawn a little wireframe and asked GPT to build a website from it. Oh yeah, and look, here we go. So it's made like a fully functioning interactive website that I can click, I can interact with, I can copy a link to, and it's like deployed as a website. Or I can also copy the HTML. I can just see, look, it's just outputted this. I can also open it in Code Sandbox, StackBlitz, Replit if I want to, take it further. But the exciting thing is that this website, like I said, tldraw, you can just put HTML on it. It's just like normal web stuff, which is not really the technical term, but that's what I say. You can move it around as part of this canvas. You can like resize it. And most importantly, you can draw on top of it like this. So like I can annotate it and I can say something like, please make this green. And what I can then do is select all of that again and send it off to GPT. And hopefully, hopefully I'm not cursed by the demo gods, that it will turn that button green. whilst that's thinking, I'll just show you some other things that we were surprised to find that was possible. You can make all sorts of interactive shapes. Oh yeah, like here's one. I already made it think about. Like, we've been quite surprised with what's possible. But the most important thing is this, right? You see this, being able to annotate what's already on the canvas. Because then it doesn't matter so much if it gets it wrong. Because I'm sure like many of your viewers and listeners have tried all sorts of different like AI experiments, and it often gets things wrong. The most important thing is this feedback loop. You can ask it to make something, give it some annotation, and then continue building on top of that. Like, hey, here's this one I asked it to think about earlier. And this feedback loop, when we put this out, this kind of exploded. We were really just overwhelmed with everyone's feedback, and it's taken us to some incredible places we really weren't expecting.
Yeah. So, and bringing this back, so now we're back together, podcast and video.
Yes.
So you made this make real kind of demo, but and it exploded. But you told me that there was 1 week where you were going to just like not build any features and just do a bit of marketing. And Steve said to you, the founder of tldraw said to you, "Can you get 100 likes on Twitter this week?"
Yeah,
and it all went from there.
Yeah. So basically, like back in October or November last year, so not too long ago, I think we just secured an extension round of funding. We just secured some more customers, and it was getting to the end of 2023. We just put out we just wrapped up our new version of the library. So I think some of us were just looking forward to using this thing that we've been working on for so long, like using this library, trying to make some fun stuff. And yeah, normally my to-do list is quite long at the start of the week. This particular week, Steve, my boss, who's in the other room, just said, hey Lou, and this is my Steve impression. Hey Lou, your job, oh that's terrible, is to get 200 likes on Twitter. And so I asked him, like, okay, well, what time scale are we thinking here? And he said, within a week. So I built this little demo using Sawyer's 1 as a starting point. The key difference was we wanted to put the website back on the canvas. And then, that night, it got 200 likes. I got a cute little message from my boss, like, hey, well done, 200 likes in one day. Nice little like pat on the head. And then the following day, we did the feedback loop thing, and it got like 2,000 likes. Following day, it was just a chain reaction after that.
It was like almost like double your growth or something, right? It was like huge amount, like your stars.
We were on around 14,000 followers on Twitter. And in that period of time when we were going viral, we jumped up to 40,000. Now we're on 50,000, above 50,000.
Yeah. So it was like, I think almost like the DevTools successful campaign of the year. I would say it's hard to think of anything that went better.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting hearing that from you, because like I said, we always just share what we're working on Twitter. I think that's part of the company culture here. Like when we're working on these really hard features and enjoying these milestones of, reaching some new concept that we can share, or working on something like ridiculously hard problem with arrows, which is usually what we're working on. it's nice to share that, but not just share the end result, like in a launch week, but share the entire process. And so from my point of view, we were doing the same as usual, but we were just going for it this time, I think.
Yeah. So how does it work? Like what did it like actually, like the nitty gritty of like you doing this? Like how did you come up with this idea? Like and then how did you get it out there?
Yeah, well, I think all of us on the team here, there's about, oh God, I can't count, like 8 or 9 of us now. I think all of us know this tldraw library really well at this point, obviously because we've been building it. And sometimes it's a bit frustrating because we're building all of these tools that we know enable lots of really fun, cool stuff. So sometimes it feels a bit sad, like making these toys and not being able to use them ourselves as much of the time, because we want to make sure they're working for other people to use. We make this library and we see other people play with our toys. So I think all of us here have pretty clear ideas of fun demos, of like mind-blowing new concepts to build. So it's probably less so about finding these ideas because we know what's possible. But sometimes we just want to share what's possible with the rest of the community, if that makes sense. Like, I think we were hoping that someone would make something like this. But I guess for example, when Sawyer made his initial version, he didn't necessarily go further to the point of like putting this website back on the canvas and being able to annotate it. So from our point of view, we want to show what's possible with this library so that we don't have to do that so much, so that other people like take on the library and build fun stuff on it themselves.
Yeah. So I don't think we covered that, but Sawyer. So who was Sawyer?
Yeah. So Sawyer Hood is actually an employee at Figma, I believe. Wanted to build a little experiment on a canvas, so he used tldraw to make a draw a UI demo. GPT Vision API had just come out, and I think he had the insight to see that, oh, actually, I could just draw a website and make it real by sending it to GPT. So he made this version. We saw it, we were mind blown by it. But what we wanted to do was show that you could actually put it back on the canvas and start a feedback loop where like GPT brings back a website, then you annotate that website, can send it back and get into this back and forth. And it's been great when people have been trying this and sharing it with us, like, hey, look, I made this website. The most fun thing is not just seeing that end product, like the final website that they build and maybe like share with their friends or community. It's been amazing to see this whole process from start to finish, where they do first sketch just like a real low fidelity wireframe, and then GPT Vision has brought back something, and then they've annotated it, or they've highlighted something, or they've just crossed something out, right? And then they've sent that back. And this is, some of these sessions seem to have gone on for hours, right? Like when I think of building a website, I imagine myself sitting down at a computer and typing away. But it seems like that, I think we've just got like a taste of a different way of building maybe prototypes, maybe just something that you just want to make quickly, or you just want to share with a small number of people for a small use case. So it's been great to see this whole process, this whole different way of working.
It does feel very like kind of playful and experimental. Like I see a lot of like the things that you put out is like, hey, you could do this, or like, what happens when I do this? And like, it feels very like playful.
Yeah. And I think that's how we think about that's how we think about the messages we want to give out about this. I think we've picked up over time what kind of content, I hate to call it content, but yeah, what kind of content is popular on Twitter or on LinkedIn, TikTok. And I think we've realized that the most successful kind of messaging and storytelling is about the journey that we go through and giving people a little glimpse of that. So, if we discover something amazing or surprising and we want to share that with other people, I think the most effective way we can do that is to share our shock or surprise. It's sometimes hard when I'm, writing tweets isn't that hard, but like it's sometimes hard when you're writing a tweet, you want to show off a bit. You want to say, hey, look how good we are. But actually, that's not my genuine reaction when I'm building this stuff. My genuine reaction is, what the hell? Like when something works and I didn't expect it to work, like that seems like a key moment to share. And this whole build in public community is built on that idea. I think the thing we're doing at tldraw is trying to take that into a team and a bigger, more serious product like the tldraw library. And it seems to work really well.
Yeah. And how much of this, like, because I could imagine if someone's listening and they're like, oh yeah, but tldraw is like an inherently like interesting thing. It's very visual. If someone was like, just like, I don't know, building a database, like how would you like, are there any of like the kind of principles that you guys use that like would carry over to like something that's like a bit less visual?
Yeah, we are very lucky because we work on a very visual problem, right? So it is part of our job to make the most of that, I think. In the process of trying to get more people involved, more people trying it out and giving us feedback. But even with things like databases, at the moment of like, this is the best time to be sharing visual content on any topic in tech. If it's not visual, just make it visual. I think there's always a way. Like when some of this make real stuff was going viral, I went along to the Superbase meetup here in their launch week, and again I went through this journey of discovery. I had no idea that some of this this visual approach to prompting an AI or interacting in a kind of AI native way, I had no idea it would work so well with databases. No offense to Superbase, but I find databases very boring, right? And even I was excited to see that you could cross out a row. So look how excited I'm getting about databases. Like, you could cross out a row if you wanted to delete a row. We tried an experiment where you could draw fruit, like draw a picture of a fruit to put it in a database, right? Okay, just think about, okay, this is the problem on a podcast. It's not visual. But when you just show drawing a picture to edit a database, suddenly databases are visual.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think like, yeah, it doesn't have to be like a whiteboard for it to be visual. It's like a medium. And yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is like, even forgetting the AI APIs that are now available. So there is all of this vision API and multimodal models. Multimodal models is quite a tongue twister, but yeah, multimodal models are popping up now. So that is a tool at your disposal. But no matter what the problem is, I'm certain that in engineering teams, in developer teams, there are all sorts of diagrams scribbles, like tables, visualizations that people make while they're developing. Like maybe they do it on a piece of paper, maybe they do it in their notebook, maybe they do it on a physical whiteboard, maybe they do it on a virtual whiteboard. Hopefully it's tldraw, but I know that these things happen. And if they don't happen in your team, then just try it. Just try it. Try visualizing your non-visual things.
Yeah.
It's always a reminder for me. So when I'm working on a problem and there's no visual representation other than text, that's when I try to stop and think, how can I represent this visually so that other people can engage with it? You know, so sometimes that's part of the process as well when you're trying to explain something to someone else on the team. And by sharing that in public on Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever, that's basically just inviting that audience to join your team as well. And, you know, we want people to get involved. You know, we want people to give their ideas. If you make something visual, you make it more accessible. Like anyone can understand a drawing. Not everyone can understand your 16,000 lines of TypeScript.
That's a really good one. Just let that hang there. Almost everything that you put on Twitter, on the tldraw Twitter, is like a GIF or a video.
Yeah. We had some new starters join 2 weeks ago, and we have like a whole guide on how to do a good GIF.
Really?
Yeah. So there's like the technical guides, like, hey, here are some quirks of the software we use to make sure the compression's good enough and make sure it's at 50 frames per second and stuff like that. And I think that is mostly stuff that Steve and me have just picked up over the years. But there's also more of like the approach. You know, how long should a GIF be? 8 seconds or less, hopefully. And there's things about how to make sure it like invites the viewer to look at it. So often we'll start with like a swoop of a cursor. If you have a look back at some of our like more popular ones, we often start with a little swoop. And it just like we want it to invite you to watch and to think about what's going on. So yeah, it's a big part of the culture here, for sure.
Is there any chance that would ever be made public? It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in fact, we should do a Twitter thread about it. It's a good shout.
That would be amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it's no secrets. It's just I do wonder that like bigger companies, I guess, don't necessarily have the freedom to just freely post. You know, there's obviously brand guidelines. Messaging needs to get checked. But I think there's something you miss when you do that. You know, and there's a huge level of trust here on the team. Me and Steve and there's also Alex were all posting from the same account, sometimes within minutes of each other, you know. and that level of trust, getting everyone on the same page about the messaging we want to give out, was extremely valuable. You know, people were asking people were replying to us on the Twitter saying things like, you know, hey, person who runs the tldraw Twitter account, like, how do you put out so many tweets? And the secret is that there were 3 of us doing it, basically, right? That's as simple as that. And that's why they were varied as well, because everyone was posting different kind of things.
So you don't like specify like we all have to sound the same, we all have to have our own.
No, I mean there's like we're all singing from the same song sheet, you know. There's the tldraw vibe, I guess. And I guess we have this value of building in public and inviting people into the process. But no one's tracking. I think sometimes I feel like posting something a bit more unhinged, right? Like, or a bit more jokey, and I stop myself because I think, no, like, that's too far. That's too far. And then 5 minutes later, I see that Steve has posted something pretty much exactly the same. So it just reminds me, no.
Yeah.
As long as it's all in good faith and we're just sharing the fun process that we go through.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, yeah, Steve is great on Twitter. And you're also like a proper YouTuber. Like you've got like you've got like a great YouTube channel.
Yeah, I got to 20,000 subscribers recently, which is very nice.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, Steve discovered me a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, when one of my own tweets had a bit of success. So I guess it's been tweets from the start.
Tweets all the way down.
It is part of the journey. And we post on Twitter a lot, but I think our goal with some of these things is to not just be contained to Twitter. I think we may mostly focus on Twitter, but we know we've done really well when other people start to post it in other places and sort of do our job for us in that regard. Like it would be a lot more work to be posting everywhere, like including LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. So when we post as well, I think part of it is showing other people what kind of content can do well. We say, hey, look how well tldraw lends itself to making videos or like little tutorials. So I think part of the low fidelity tone of them, I think, is also like an invitation for other people to post about tldraw as well. I hope I hope we're on the right topics here. We're talking very, very community, very social media management.
Well, I mean, as I said, I think this is probably like the best example I can think of as like a Twitter, like a social media success in 2023.
I know you've had Ant from Superbase on here before, right?
Yeah.
And I know that he talked about memes, right?
Yeah.
Like on their Twitter. I know he said that people often ask him, why do you post so many memes? Why do you post jokes? On a database Twitter account. And he said it works, right? It works. Like at the end of the day, you want people to enjoy seeing what you put out. So it's why not have a bit of humor and fun in it?
Yeah.
But Superbase has changed more recently. I feel like they're trying to. I don't want to speak for them, but it seems like they're trying to establish more of a serious tone now. I'd want to ask about that.
Yeah, that'd be a good question. I mean, I saw a lot of memes like in the last couple of days, so I feel like they're still doing it, but they're probably also trying to. Yeah, I actually don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah,
that's an interesting approach to try and combine these two things.
Yeah, I guess it's a question, like an open question of like, do you have to get more, like as you start to go for like enterprise customers, like do you have to, be more serious?
Well, like I think that's something we think about. Well, I think about. Can't speak for everyone on the team, but I think about a bit when we want to put out different kinds of information. There are some demos we make, some examples we make that are purely to try to like ignite your imagination a little bit and try to show you that something's possible that you thought wasn't possible before. Some of the things we put out are much drier, but also much more helpful. So I did just sit in front of the camera and explain how to do something that a lot of people were asking on our Discord last week, and that has a different kind of tone. And we also put out release notes every now and then, sort of going through a lot of the changes that people might have noticed on tldraw.com. So they have different levels of seriousness and fidelity in a way. But in all cases, there is a playful vibe. But even with that playful, jokey tone, we're still able to alter some other things. It's not one or the other. But we're continuing to figure that out.
When you say alter other things, is that like length or something like that? Like you might, if you want it to be, a big hit, it's going to be 8 seconds. But if it's like an explainer, it's like longer.
Yeah. So I guess length is one of them. Like length of a video, length of a GIF, length of a post. Also, length of a thread. But I guess we're trying to communicate a different thing when we post release notes to when we post like a behind the scenes look at, oh my God, I just made something and I can't believe it. We're in both cases, we're trying to involve our followers in the process of this library and the development of this library. But we're shining a light on different things. And with release notes, part of it is that we're showing that we're working on this thing day in, day out, fixing all these bugs that you don't have to, and like sharing some of the slog behind it, because it genuinely is sometimes just hard work. I've been dealing with canvas sizes all day today, and it's not easy, or it just takes time. And so we're sharing like the hard work that we do there. And in some of these other cases, we're sharing the discoveries that we make. But in each case, though, there's still something to be enjoyed, and it still feels like a behind the scenes. Yeah, and I don't want us to have like a front, like a branding front, because people are smart, people can see it. It's much easier, much more effective to just build in public and just let people in on that journey as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Make it real.
Make it real. Make it real. That's the title. Yeah.
Okay, Lou, I think that's about all we've got time for. Do you want to give like a wrap up of like if there's any founders, DevTools people listening, what they could take away from what you've learned?
Yeah. Okay. I think in the topic of community messaging and social media and telling people about your library, your tool, I would say that don't be afraid of sharing the whole process. Don't think that you can only share it when you've released something or finished something. People will be interested in all sorts of different parts of that process, from start to middle to end. The bits that go right, but especially the bits that go wrong. Right? Don't be afraid of sharing your mistakes and your bugs. That's really interesting, because people don't realize the hard work behind your tools. They don't necessarily realize, oh wait, I didn't know you had to do that. It's always been surprising to me which bits land and which bits don't. But more often than not, more is interesting than I expect. I guess just because we're working on it day in and day out, it feels more normal to us. So you may as well share. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, people don't notice. That's fine. Just do another tweet, right? The best that could happen is something like Make Real, where our user base exploded. And so yeah, give it a shot. And I'd like to see it. Send it my way. I like this kind of content.
Yeah, hopefully you have like an army of DevTools making all their content with tldraw as well now after this,
I hope so.
using your guidelines. Yeah. So if you want to learn more about Lou, you can follow Lou at todepond, TODEPOND, on all the socials, I think.
Yeah, everywhere. Literally everywhere.
Including YouTube. Go watch Lou's videos as well. And tldraw as well, TLDRAW. I think on all the socials as well.
Yeah.
And Lou, thank you so much for coming. Do you have any shout outs? Is there anything you wanted to share?
Shout out to the London coding scene. London coding scene is the best coding scene in the whole world. Get out of here, SF. You're old news. I'm joking. I'm joking. But really, I'm not. Seriously, London. If you're in London, come visit our office. Just at tldraw. Message us.
Yeah,
it's the place to be.
It's the center of the arena in Swix's London AI scene as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, this scene can hold so many scenes. That's the crazy thing about it.
Thanks, Lou. And thanks everyone for listening. See you again soon.